Hey YouTubers. So first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to all the subscribers up to this point. The support has been awesome. I want to give a special shout out to Mr. Ron Henry. Ron Henry on the Friday live stream and give me a shout out on my channel. So thank you, Ron. Definitely appreciate it. Appreciate everything you do for the community, and definitely all your great advice, where I've definitely have learned quite a bit over the last couple of years from you. So thank you very much. But in today's video, I wanted to kind of go a little in depth into the 20-inch 7-blade Mclane mower. You know, that 7-blade 20-inch Mclane is a very common mower that you see, but I kind of want to just show a couple things that I've done and how some of the things I've learned over the years, in addition to how to get the most out of that mower. So I'll do a kind of an in-depth tutorial, kind of unique story on my particular Mclane. I ended up purchasing it used, but the interesting thing is, even though it was used, it was actually brand new. I purchased it from a guy on OfferUp. He was looking to sell it. I guess the story goes that about 5-6 years ago, he had actually bought 2 of them from Home Depot. One for himself, one for his dad, and one stayed boxed. And I'll include some pictures of when I first picked it up. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. You know, he didn't even open the box until I put an offer together to be able to go and look at it. At that point, he opened up the box to kind of see what was in it. I had a couple questions about what type of motor it had. It was a little confusing because if you look at the picture on the box, it actually has the older style Mclane mower on there. And I was a little bit worried that it was, you know, how old it really was. But that is one thing that is great about the Mclane. Not the only thing, but one of the things that I think most people do like, and is really smart as well, you know, and kind of the strategy that Mclane has taken with not really changing their design over the last, I don't know, 20 to 25 years. It's pretty much the same mower. And that's great for resale value. That's great for parts. That's great for just for manufacturing ease. You know, so definitely you know, there's a lot to be said for a great product, and why change it, right? I think people change things for the sake of changing. But if it works and it's not broken, why change it? So again, in this particular video, I hope you enjoy it. Make sure to give me a like and a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel. Any questions or comments about the content, please put them below, or any other future content you guys would like to see. This is one of my second mowers that I wanted to feature on my channel. Let's get into it. All right, so here she is, the 20-inch 7-blade Mclane. On this particular mower of mine, it does have the Briggs and Stratton motor. It's a 5.5 horsepower 550 series Briggs. Great mower, great motor. Definitely can't go wrong with this particular setup. It is the entry level into Mclane. The Mclane does offer the Honda motor as well, but for the price, you cannot beat the Briggs and Stratton. So on this particular mower, like I mentioned, I did pick it up on OfferUp. I did do a couple of changes already to it. I removed the front caster wheels, and in place had placed a front groove roller. I'll get into what that groove roller is and who manufactures that up a little bit later in the video. But definitely a great Mclane for those of you that want to get into real mowing. All right, so here's a couple pictures I just wanted to share with everybody. So if you look here, you see the OEM box with the grass catcher up top. Obviously, the grass catcher was in the box at the time that I picked it up. In the next photo, you can see that I opened it up, and wow, I was astonished. I still could not believe this was a brand new Mclane that was sitting for 5 or 6 years, just like this. You know, I still had to assemble everything, which was just fabulous. You know, here are the grips along with the manual. I actually used the manual to make sure I installed it and put everything together right. When looking at the motor, even it still had the shrink wrap around the pull start, which was just great. You know, the motor obviously did not have any oil or gas in it, which obviously added before starting it up. And then the grass catcher. One unique part about this grass catcher that just really kind of blew my mind is I've never seen one that actually had red painted hooks. Most of the grass catchers you see are just, you know, that normal steel look. So, you know, I was really excited about that. All right, so in this second to last photo, I just wanted to show that this mower came with the steel wheels. I know a lot of people have complained or had issues with some of the plastic wheels that Mclane had used. And it was just nice to see that this particular mower did not have those wheels and actually came with the steel wheels. And then in the last photo, it was just everything all put together. Looking great. Could not wait to bring it out for its very first mow. All right, so before I get into some of the technical aspects of the mower, I just wanted to point out a couple things visually. One of the things I did do that I actually got from a tip from a buddy of mine that I probably should have thought about because I am actually a car enthusiast as well. But he had actually recommended ceramic coating the paint. Being that it was a brand new mower, brand new paint, I figured, it's a great idea. So I went ahead and did that. And that it really helps when you have to hose off the mower, or you want to clean the mower. It makes it that much easier with that ceramic coating on there. The other thing that most people probably notice right off the bat is the front grooved roller. This is not your typical front groove roller. I'll probably do another video on it specifically, but this is actually a grooved roller from the cow trimmer manufacturer that I adapted to the reel rollers bracketry that you could purchase through reel rollers. Now you can't just purchase the bracket, but previously I had a smooth roller that I basically swapped out on this particular mower. So so let's kind of get into a little more of the mechanics of it and how this particular mower operates. All right, let's go ahead and start with the engine itself. So on this particular Briggs and Stratton, there is an on-off switch, as you can see, is actually located behind here. A little bit different than the Hondas, where you have the Honda on the front of the motor. So basically, you're going to turn that on. You have your fuel turn off and shut off. This is actually in the on position currently, but to turn it off, I'll basically just move it back. And then you have your choke lever right above that that you will engage. Will be in the forward position here when it's actually running. And then you have your throttle lever on the side of the mower here. Now the throttle lever is actually controlled there and or at the top of the mower here by engaging this lever here. Now I will say that when getting the mower originally first taking it out of the box, this lever was very hard to move. So I went ahead and just loosened. You'll see here there's a little a nut right here, and basically by loosening that, you can really kind of mess with the tension between the lever that you would operate here and the lever up top to be able to dial in that throttle. When running the mower, I do not necessarily always run it, or very rarely run it at full throttle actually. I don't think the mower really needs it, especially if you have a sharp mower. I try to keep that at close to full, but probably more like at 90%, 80 to 90% full power when I'm actually running the particular mower. Let's talk about a couple other things here. This is your air filter housing. In order to remove the air filter for replacement, you basically go ahead and just unscrew that. You'll basically pop the cover off, place a new filter in there. You want to definitely check that often. I know a lot of people have complained about surging issues or different performance issues. That's always one of the first places you want to look for or look to whenever you're having that particular type of problem. Obviously, where you're going to add your fuel for when you are fueling up. And then you have your muffler, obviously, which actually comes with a exhaust deflector, which is nice, already installed from the factory. I can tell you, for those of you that do not have an exhaust deflector on your mower, you tend to get a lot of blackness along the front Mclane logo here, and or addition all the hot air that's going to be blowing onto your leg. You have your belt cover here, underneath which it houses your main drive belt for your clutch and reel and drive system. It's a 19.5-inch belt, fairly easy to replace. Once you go ahead and remove that screw there, then you can undo the lever bar here and be able to pull off that belt and be able to replace it. People ask, well, how often do I need to do that? You don't have to do it, like on a schedule per se. It's really based on looking at the belt, inspecting the belt, and wear. You may get a couple seasons out of it. I've heard of people only get one season. So just kind of a good rule of thumb, you should always just have an extra belt on hand. They're not very expensive. So it's probably better just to have one on hand so that way you're able to replace it in the event that something does. You have a couple different levers that you use to operate the mower. This mower here is what they call the dead man's clutch. This will be basically what engages your reel and your drive system. The drive system and reel are both in combination together in one. So basically, whenever you are engaging the reel here, you're also going to be driving the rear tires on the back. But you won't necessarily propel until you actually pull down or flip this particular lever. So when you're pulling that lever, as you can see here, the wheels go up and down and that's what's going to basically drive the mower. Now, some people say, well, do you have to have that wheel down in order to actually mow? No, you can mow it within the up position. Sometimes when you're going down a hill or a slope, or if you're trying to get close to a flower bed or something like that, you can basically leave it in the up position, and in that way you're able to still mow, kind of at your discretion as far as how close you are to any particular obstacle. If you ever wanted to adjust or have issues with it, there's an adjustment screw here that basically allows you to release the bar below it, which allows you to then be able to raise or lower that rear wheel. It's set up pretty nice from the factory already, so there's really no need to mess with it. Now, as you may see on my particular mower, I do have a RPM gauge. The purpose of the RPM gauge isn't necessarily for me, not necessarily RPM, but basically hours meter. As you can see here, I'm at a 4.1 hours. So that's how much I've used the mower since I've owned it. But I will be replacing the oil fairly shortly when I get closer to 5 hours. But that's kind of the mark that most people use when you're breaking in a new mower, new motor that is. Okay. All right, probably one of my favorite things about the Mclane is its maneuverability. As you can see, it's very easy to maneuver. When you're making turns, if you're wheeling it from one area of the lawn to the other, the wheels just roll like butter. When I had purchased this mower or got this mower, I got to say, even on my older Mclanes that have been around for years, it had still the same maneuverability as this brand new one. So I was very, very happy about that when picking that up or when getting this particular mower, just to see that, wow, I can't even believe that my old mower still handles like it did on day one. With the 7-blade, definitely does the job. I think people ask the question, do I need a 10-blade? Do I need a 7-blade? What's the difference? Or a 5-blade? And there are differences, but it really depends on your height of cut. Now, because this is not a greens mower, you're not going to be mowing at a super, super short height. Pretty much anything above or below a ½ inch is going to kind of meet that criteria. But because this particular mower, you're probably going to be mowing about the 3/4 inch to 1 inch, 7/8 of something around that line. I particularly mow about 5/8 of an inch, so just above that ½ inch threshold. It definitely is a great mower for that type of height of cut. All right, so I just want to take a minute here and just kind of point out a couple of the bolts on the side of the mower that I think are important to understand what they are. You have 4 bolts on the back of the mower here, and that really holds up the rear axle. There is some adjustability there, but my recommendation would be not to really play with those and to really leave it to how it's set from the factory, unless there's an absolute reason that you might need to make an adjustment there. As you move closer to the front of the mower, towards the middle here, you have 3 bolts here that I want to point out, that one, and that one. Those 3, it's going to be 6 bolts in total, 3 on this side, 3 on the opposite side, that hold in your bed knife. So those are bolts you may have to end up replacing one day in the future, or not. You may end up replacing the bed knife. So in that case, you would remove those 3 bolts. So you're able to do that. Then there's 3 other bolts here that are at the front of the mower. That one, and that one, which basically allows for adjustability on the reel or reel to bed knife clearance. The first bolt here is really a bolt you really shouldn't play with. It's really more of a pivoting bolt that allows you to kind of set your angle within the reel to bed knife. But the adjustability, when you're really trying to dial it in to really get it to cut paper, is going to be that bolt and that bolt right there. So you're basically going to loosen, not necessarily remove, you're just going to loosen that one. You're going to back that one off as well to be able to lift or raise the reel from the inside here. All right, so let's get in here and just talk about the reel for just a minute. So on the Mclane, like I mentioned, this particular Mclane I mentioned, it's a 7-blade reel mower. I talked about the adjustments, but really, this thing, out of the box should be cutting paper. I have seen some people that have mentioned that even their brand new Mclanes were not, but they're very, they're adjustable, but at the same time, some people do complain about how finicky the reel to bed knife clearance adjustments are, because it's a little bit more difficult to dial it in. But like I mentioned on the, a couple of the bolts on the side here, you have some adjustment bolts here that you will basically loosen off, and that will allow you to be able to either raise or lower this bracket there. and that bracket there. So generally, you'll find that in most cases on a reel mower, you tend to get one side that will start cutting first. And once you get one side set, you really want to lock it in, meaning tighten it down and then come over to the other side of the mower, depending on which side of the mower you're trying to adjust, and then be able to lock in that second side and then finally get it going. At the same time though, one thing that I'm a big believer in is really trying to make this reel as loose as possible, or as minimal bed knife to reel clearance as you possibly can, while it still will cut paper. If you have it too tight, in my opinion, that's, kind of the source of some future problems, whether it be with the bearings or whether it be, with the belt or just the overall performance of the mower. So I do not recommend over tightening the reel to bed knife clearance. There's kind of a sweet spot. Right, so I wanted to point something out. You guys may have caught this on the video, but just wanted to explain what they were if you haven't seen them before. But you're going to notice these nylon bushings right there, right behind the hook for the bracket for the grass catcher. The purpose of these and why they were installed were really because of this front roller. Now, I don't want to take credit for this, and I'm not going to take credit for it because it's not my idea or my invention. But there was a guy on Facebook at one of the forums that actually put this out there, where so many people were having problems with the front grass catcher whenever they had a roller installed on their particular Mclane. Well, what happened is the grass catcher would actually rub against this top bar here, which made it pretty difficult for you to use your grass catcher. So the guy on Facebook came up with a way to be able to set your grass catcher further back, which is why these bushings now exist. So your grass catcher is hooking onto there versus the front part of the hook here. Now, you may think, well, does that really work? Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it works so well that the thing I think I appreciate the most about it is the fact that the mower is not altered in any way or reconfigured in any way, and it's pretty much still like factory. On the other side of the mower here, if you look, it looks much cleaner, and that's really because of the fact that you have a chain guard that's being held in with these two bolts right there. Once those two bolts are removed, all the bolts that I showed on the opposite side are going to be under there. So everything from the rear tire to the bed knife, you're also with your bed knife and as well as your reel, you'll be able to see under once you remove that chain cover. The other thing I did want to point out that's on this side of the mower, a very important aspect, is the height of cut adjustment, and that's where you see it right here. It's going to be in this bar. If you look at closely, and let me try to zoom in here, there are 4 notches there. Some people will say, well, isn't that a 5th notch all the way at the beginning there? Technically, and I have seen people mow with it at that particular notch, if they're scalping or really want to get down low, but it's not technically a setting for your height of cut. The purpose of that hole and why that hole even exists is to be able to remove this bracket. If you look at this hole here, it corresponds to the size of this bolt here, and you're able to remove this bracket by moving it into here, and then you can then be able to place or remove that bracket on and off. So again, some people do use it as a height of cut adjustment, but again, this is really meant, this first one here, really meant to be your lowest setting, not the hole here on the right side. On the Mclanes, and I'll see if I can kind of move my camera here to be able to see, but there are basically 3 holes, one there, one below, and one below that, where your axle for your roller will slide in. On the top bolt, like I have mine here, or the top hole, that is the highest setting, which produces the lowest cut. So it's kind of, you got to think about it opposite, right? Where you're going to raise that bar so that way you can lower the height of cut or have a lower cut. If you could choose to go to the middle one, with the corresponding height adjustment bar here on the left, you'll be able to kind of dial in the height of cut that you're looking for. There is a little bit of overlap, when you are moving that up and down. Okay, so those are just a couple things I wanted to point out that I think are important to know as a Mclane owner. Let's go ahead and start up the mower so you guys can hear it run and see the reel in action. So let's go ahead and give it a start. So I went ahead and just dialed in the choke and or the throttle. I started it up earlier, so it was already a little bit warm. But normally it's a one pole motor. Maybe a second pole, it just depends, but you know, definitely a good sounding motor. All right, so let me show you guys the reel. So there she is, the 20-inch 7-blade Mclane. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys learned something about the 20-inch Mclane. Definitely great mower. Can't say enough good things about it. Please look for my next video. I will be showing this mower in action. It's not just about looking good. It's about the actual functionality and actually mowing, laying down those stripes. So if you'd like to see that video, please make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and as always, please like this video. Thank you so much for everybody's support. Remember, be excellent and party on.